All right, yes. Team, let me check if everyone can hear me. Yes, perfect. All right, how is everyone doing on this beautiful Wednesday? A Wednesday, not on a Tuesday. Excuse me, of course. Yesterday I couldn't make it. So that's why we're here today, obviously. All right, what's up, Marina? Martin, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Wherever you currently are, of course. Goeiedag, Arjo. Goeiedag. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Curtis. How are you? How are you? Thank you. Mitch, what's up? What's up? Timmy, love to see it. Good evening, Arya. How are you today, bro? I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you. How are you, brother? Coco, what's up? Oliver, love to see it. Oliver, you look ripped, man. Jesus, is that you? That's crazy. Which broker got good spread? I use IC Markets. IC Markets, personally. Buenos dias, buenos dias. Buenas tardes. For me, buenas tardes. Love to see it. Love to see it. Craig, Pablo, hola, hola, love it. Hope you're doing well. I'm Mohammed from Algeria. Thank you a lot. Thank you, making my chart make sense. Thank you, great man. Peace. Love to see it, my man. Love to see it. From Texas. Love to see it. Love to see it. I saw a mentorship question as well. Let me see. Mentorship question from Valentino. Yes, perfect. I will go over all my emails later on today, so don't worry. Don't worry, I will go over them. I will see it. Valentino, you have the most Italian name I've ever seen, my friend. Love to see it. Love it, love it. Big gains, love it. Love you too, Nicholas. Come on, love it. I'm from Amsterdam, Kev. Amsterdam. More specifically, Kev, if you're... Sounds pretty Dutch. Kev, more specifically, Harderwijk. Love your explanation on first line of defense. Love that. That's actually something we can touch on a little bit more, I reckon, in a newer video. I haven't touched on that in quite some time, actually. South Africa, love that. Love that. A lot of people from South Africa, actually. Very interesting. I like that. I like that. All right, let's go. Let's get it. Perfect. Let's get it. Let's do some forecasts, of course, first. Or forecast. Is there a lot to forecast, to be honest? I'm not sure how everyone has been, but me, Harderwijk. Yes. That's also a very Dutch name. Like that. How do I find it, Ariel? What do you need to find, Nicholas? What do you need to find? You can, if you need a link, it's always in the description. You can find it if you need anything. But I lost my train of thought right there. But how has everyone been in the market? Kom daar ook vandaan. Love that. Love that. Dolfinarium. You know it, Quinten. Love that. I like that. It's a small world, especially in the Netherlands. Not that big, so it's very funny. But yeah, lost my train of thought again. All right, perfect. So how has everyone been in the market? Personally, I have not been that active. So the thing right here is that the reason why I've not been that actively trading, I'll touch on that right now, is because we had obviously FOMC and NFP as well later on this week. FOMC is later on today, which I personally don't want to get involved in ahead of time. If Monday had only US dollar news, then I likely would have only traded that Monday. Then Tuesday ahead of that FOMC is not something I would want to trade. Then Wednesday itself is also not something I want to trade. Thursday can be traded, but it's just after FOMC and just ahead of NFP. So again, it's that in between, so the gray area, which I just don't really want to get involved in. Just a pretty low probability week for me. Then I did have some other pairs which also did not deliver. So for me personally, it's been a very, very quiet week right here. Not done anything so far. Will likely also not do anything from my side. So just so you know, I am personally likely not getting involved in anything this week. So just so you know that. And yeah, that is very interesting because that leads me to a next topic as well, which last week you could see that I took 3 trades, 6R, made 6R on that day, on one singular day, which was that Tuesday, which is very interesting that you can see. And the reason why I did that, why I took 3 trades, is especially for a situation like this, where if I take those 3 trades, and of course, I won them now, I could have also lost them, whatever happened. But because I identified those high probability conditions, which we touch on a lot in the mentorship, high probability conditions, it's very crucial. I identified those high probability conditions. What I did from there was I capitalized on those high probability conditions, because if you don't do that, then you now have a reason to go into the market. Whilst I currently don't have a reason to go into market because I already made those profits. I already made those profits ahead of November, ahead of the next week, ahead of a lot of coming weeks. So for me, it doesn't really matter what price action is doing because I don't need to get involved. That is why it's important to actually capitalize on high probability conditions, identifying them, because essentially you're giving yourself a buffer. You're giving yourself a buffer, and you have the, as I like to call it, I mentioned in the mentorship, you have the negotiating position. You have the upper hand in that sentence. Because what I mean by that is that the market doesn't have anything to say to you. The market can't say to you, you haven't made any profit, you need me. Whilst currently in my position, I don't need the market. The market needs me, but I don't need the market. So I have the upper hand right there. So that is very important to understand. And that allows you as well to stay out of weeks like this. Essentially, what we said as well on Sunday was you sacrifice this week to have a very clear bias in the coming weeks, which is a very important topic as well. Because waiting for a week like this, it's going to only be beneficial. Because when you then have high probability conditions again after that, you didn't try to make profits in this week, which would be likely very hard compared to another high probability week. Then when you don't experience that loss or that -2, and -2%, for example, can also be -6%, because I know a lot of people will try a lot this week, which they just shouldn't do. Then if you just wait for those high probability conditions again, what happens? You don't experience that drawdown period, and you just make profit, and you keep on making profits. It's as easy as that. It's knowing when to get involved. That's it. The market always moves. The market moves sideways, up or down. Is knowing when you want to get involved. That's all it is in this trading game. How you want to get involved doesn't matter. If you can find high probability conditions, you can literally click buy or sell and you can make money. That's as easy as it is. Of course, I understand that's an oversimplification, but that is what it comes down to. That is very important to always have in your mind. So with that little rant, let's dive into the forecast. Now, here on the dollar, I mentioned I want to see prices, or I might want to see prices come into that monthly fair value gap. If we didn't continue higher off of this daily fair value gap, I would want to see higher price or low price into that monthly fair value gap that we have right there. We disrespected that daily fair value gap. Now, on the end of Monday right there, I mentioned I wanted to see lower price into the monthly fair value gap to the mentorship, which on a Tuesday we just didn't get. All right, perfect. At that moment in time, if we create a daily fair value gap higher, then I would be willing to target potentially something on the upside. In the meantime, ahead of FOMC and NFP, I'm just simply doing nothing. So it's also a very easy forecast for myself. I know a lot of people will want me to say, is it going to do this, 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 this? For me, it's very easy. And this is how your forecast for yourself should also be, where it's just you wait either for this to happen into the monthly fair value gap, or you wait for daily fair value gaps higher and you get involved off of those. That's easy. And how can we know that? Is we wait for FOMC and NFP to show its hand, and then afterwards we can enjoy new high probability conditions again. Because imagine if we just wait inside this and we forget all that, then imagine if we come into that monthly fair value gap and we have 4-hour and daily context going higher, all the order blocks holding, all the fair value gaps holding. I'm already dreaming of it. That if that happens, all the profits we will make, all the money we will make, all the challenges that will be passed. Oh, I love it. And then once we have these low probability conditions, I can also dream of it that imagine all the challenges that got blown. Imagine all the accounts that got blown. Imagine all the profit that wasn't made. Imagine all the drawdown that was experienced. Imagine all the strategy hopping that happened because of that period. Imagine all the shiny object syndrome traders that gotten to that next stage of that new strategy, of that new shiny object, of a new Twitter hype. Maybe there's a new quarterly theory. Maybe there's a new silver bullet. Maybe there's a new enigma. I don't know. And that's all because we are trading in those low probability conditions. And that is exactly what we need to understand. Again, that's a little bit of a rant, but that is very important to understand. That these low probability conditions, excuse me, struggled over my words right there. But these low probability conditions right there, they will be forgotten if you just ignore them at that moment and just wait for those high probability conditions right there. So that's exactly what I'm waiting for. And again, that also comes back to I can afford to not do anything. As in, I already made profits last week and I made profits in those singular day right there enough to afford for me to not do anything the coming weeks, which is perfectly fine in my opinion, right? So that is also very important to understand. So right there, gun to my head, I am still expecting FOMC, NFP to come into the monthly value gap to then continue higher. But I also know that if I'm wrong during that situation, which I could very well be wrong, then I want to see a higher price off of that. And then once we get that, all right, then I get involved. And the beauty of it, if I'm wrong on either of those situations, I will not lose money. I will not lose any profits that I made. And that is important to understand, because just me expecting something for price, and that is the same what you can do, that is not me losing anything. That's me playing it very safe. So that is very important for you to understand as well, that if you want to do that, then make that forecast for yourself, but don't try to get involved on it just yet. As in, when I'm expecting this right there, I'm not looking at shorts. This move higher is the highest probability right there, because I can also understand that this might happen. This might happen immediately without coming into the monthly value gap. So again, that is why understanding those low probability conditions, high probability conditions, which we go over a lot in the mentorship, that is extremely crucial for your trading. All right, ES right here. So ES, of course, depending on what the dollar wants to do, you need to understand that every single instrument that is on this list right here, except for Nifty, only Nifty is the exception right there. That all these things, all these instruments, all these pairs that I'm going to go over to, I'm just not too certain of what they want to do, because it depends all on what the dollar wants to do. The dollar affects every single instrument that is right there. So if you were to trade anything this week, then I would say, go take a look at the crosses. If the crosses are not clear, which quite a lot are not that clear actually, and that's also the reason why I've not been trading, because they just haven't been that nice. So then I don't get involved in anything. So right there, ES right here, we can continue lower off of this order block that is sitting right there, overlapping with the lows, depending on whatever the dollar wants to do. Because if the dollar wants to also continue lower, and we can see that they are actually out of sync right now, there's sort of a crack in correlation, you could call it, where usually that tends to lead to some weird price action, which is, of course, ahead of FOMC, NFP. It's something you could expect right there. So right here, I'm not too certain on what it wants to do. Overall, we're still bearish, of course. So that is very important to understand. Then on NASDAQ as well, we had this order block right there. Currently not respecting it. Overall, not too certain on what it wants to do. And that is very important to understand. I'm overall just not too certain on what it wants to do. Daily can continue lower from here if FOMC wants to do that. I'm still expecting sooner or later a sweep of that low right there, that fake bottom. But I am not forcing my way to take trades towards that. In order for me to take a trade right here, I would want to see the 4 hour, at least make a 4 hour value gap lower, or at least disrespect those bullish value gaps right there to find a boundary to go into the lower time frame to then target those lows right there. And that is the way I view it. Then on YM, right here, same exact scenario where YM can potentially head even towards that daily value gap that is sitting right there. First target is just simply that premium rate that is sitting right there. Potentially, again, really depending on whatever the dollar wants to do right now. So these conditions are just not high probability. They're just really not. And the thing here is, what's important to understand is this is not high probability conditions for trending traders. It's also not high probability for seek and short traders. So that is also a very interesting topic right there, which I just want you to understand. This is extremely low probability conditions right here. So, and I always mention in the mentorship, it's very funny because the thing I always mention is it will feel like throughout a year, it will feel like there are more low probability condition days than there are high probability condition days. And that's probably true. So keep that in mind as well. That lowers your expectations a lot. Here on DAX, we mentioned this weekly fair value gap right there, which we can potentially look for lower prices off of as well, which could be nice right there. Which on a 4 hour, if you had a nice little trade towards that weekly fair value gap, the last little push right there, that could be quite nice as well. Potentially even on the 1 hour, something along the lines, wouldn't want to expect a big retracement, boom, something like that. That could be very nice. And after that weekly fair value gap, potentially lower price as well. That is actually looking quite nice. Australian dollar, US dollar. See the seek and destroy conditions right here. This is, again, not something you would want to get involved in. If we can reach that monthly fair value gap, and only if, because that takes quite some volatility, and even FOMC, NFP probably wouldn't even make it towards that monthly fair value gap. But if they do, then I would expect lower prices off of that right there. EU right here. So EU is also very tricky, and it's the same as on the dollar, where we just took out those lows, of course, just inversely. And let me actually go over the dollar. It would make it a little bit easier. That if the dollar wants to continue higher right now, it should continue higher off of that 4 hour fair value gap right there. So if it continues higher off of that, then I would say, all right, we might be in the making of that new daily fair value gap, of potentially new 4 hour fair value gaps higher as well. That could be very nice. If you don't expand higher off of that 4 hour fair value gap, then I would again say, all right, we might be targeting that monthly fair value gap. But in the meantime, it's just me speculating right here because I'm not getting involved. So either I'm waiting for daily fair value gap higher, or I'm waiting for that monthly fair value gap right there. That's it. So EU as well right here, same exact scenario. If it wants to continue lower and create a new 4 hour fair value gap lower, that would be great. That would be a great sign that it wants to actually continue lower, of course. So then it should already continue lower right here off of those 4 hour fair value gaps lower. And ideally, it should create a new 4 hour fair value gap lower right there. That, where on GU right here, very funny actually, because GU right here was the weaker pair, but we can see EU moved lower this week actually. And GU has just been consolidating right here. So this is typical what you'll see ahead of FOMC and NFP as well, where we can just sweep one side and potentially continue lower or continue higher as well, whatever it wants to do right there. Where EU and the dollar itself, I would say, all right, we have a bigger chance to reach into that monthly fair value gap. On GU itself, I also mentioned this in the forecast, where we, this is pretty far away from the monthly fair value gap. So if the dollar reaches that monthly fair value gap before GU does it, then GU might not reach it and just sweep something like this and then continue lower. So take that into account as well. Then on New Zealand dollar, US dollar can of course still reach that weekly fair value gap right there. We didn't actually create a nice discount array right here on the 4 hour to use. So what you usually see is that counter trend trades, something along the lines of this, will be very choppy, and then we trade into it, and this will be the nice delivery, which of course creates your market maker sell model. All right, so that is still same exact thing what I am expecting. Then USD Canadian dollar right here. I would still want to see a sting into that daily fair value gap right there to continue higher. That is still looking quite nice to me. That is still looking very nice. USD CHF. This is again where we now, of course, disrespect a weekly fair value gap. If overall the dollar is bullish, then USD CHF will of course also continue higher right here. So if it creates a daily fair value gap, which it could do, but if the dollar wants to trade into the monthly fair value gap, it will do something weird like this and then continue higher right there. So that is something to take into account right there. And if it creates a daily fair value gap, then it can of course continue higher off of that as well. If overall, I'm still bullish on the dollar. So that is also important to understand. USDJPY, very close to the drawn liquidity right there. So again, any fair value gap, daily fair value gap right there. Now, currently ahead of FOMC, it's not something I would want to get involved in. If it wasn't for FOMC, then these fair value gaps right there, overlapping with the highs, are very nice to push price and give that last push to reach that high right there. That is quite nice. But I currently don't want to get involved because we're very close to FOMC. Then on silver, we can also see very nice seek and destroy conditions right here. This depends a lot on whatever the dollar wants to do. This can still continue higher. In the meantime, I'm just not too certain. We have that weekly fair value gap below price that is sitting right there. In the meantime, I'm just really not that certain on what it wants to do right here. If it wants to continue lower, of course, it can continue lower off of that. But look at how many times we failed to follow through. Bearish fair value gap, bullish fair value gap right there. Both didn't follow through. Both got disrespected. So why should we trust that bearish fair value gap right there? Doesn't make any sense, right? So be careful of that. Then on gold right here. On gold, I mentioned as well that yes, we can continue higher, but we are not creating a new daily fair value gap right there, which I would like to see. Then if the weekly fair value gap right there can be traded into, I would still be bullish, but I would not really expect that, as in that's a pretty hefty retracement to then continue higher. If it does happen, I would still be bullish overall, potentially. Then on Bitcoin, this is also what I mentioned, and it's still in the exact same spot as Sunday. So here you would wait for either daily fair value gap higher, daily fair value gap lower. In the meantime, you wait. You don't do anything. Then crude oil. Aha, yes. All right, this is actually quite interesting. We finally reached that low, which you talked about. Let me reset my mouse. It's a little bit laggy. All right. We finally reached that low right there. That is quite nice because that is a fake bottom. Now, if we now want to continue higher and we get bullish, yes, very nice. We have a ST already. Now we this is actually looking quite nice. This is the nicest instrument out of this whole list right here. So if we now can create that 4-hour fair value gap higher, off of that 4-hour fair value gap higher, you would want a new leg higher with a new fair value gap, and then we continue higher. That is very nice, actually. That is looking very nice. Beautiful sweep as well. Nice. Very nice price action. So if you were to look at anything, then crude oil might be very nice. That's beautiful. Very nice. Nifty. All right, Nifty reached this low, which I mentioned to the mentorship right there. That low right there is sort of, you could see it as a resistance level. As in, if we break that level, then we will likely reach that high right there. In the meantime, that can still push price lower. So this low that's sitting right there can push price lower. Where right now, this, how does this look to you? That is a nice fake bottom. So if we can sweep that fake bottom, same scenario as in crude oil, and we can have something like this, then that could be very nice as well. So that is personally what I am currently looking at right there. That is looking quite nice as well. In the meantime, even the pairs we went over, they are just not that good. As in, they're not looking nice. Let me see. Let me go over some questions. Let me see. All right. Let me see. What's up, Ed Lenny? What is up? What is up? Love to see it. Love to see it. New Zealand dollar JPY. For sure, Maximus. For sure. Let me check. Let me check if there is anything happening right here. What was it overall doing? Sweeping that high. Can potentially reach for that low as well. I think we mentioned. On the weekly, not too certain. Daily right here. Not really. And I always need some kind of boundary. Well, we have a boundary in the form of this potentially. That right there. If anything, this could have been a potential trade. Would I have seen it coming right there? Not really. It's not something I would be interested in at that moment. So on the 4-hour, if you were to look for an entry right there, let's see what it wants to do. During Asia as well. You have your ST, then this is already your RE, but that is during Asia. Then you wait. You need to be aware of the fair value gaps that are hovering above you. What is sitting right there? The 1-hour is sitting right there. That could be an entry targeting even the highs right there. And inside that could of course be your boundary to then go into the 1 minute or the 5 minute right there, looking for a new entry where you would wait for a 5-minute ST, which is sitting right there, to then target higher potentially. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar is a nice example of a fake top. Can you take a look at it? For sure. I took some profits out of it today, but I need to keep it to 1 trade per day. I'm at break even with a loss on Canadian dollar JPY. For sure, that is something you can work on, right, Teddy? And that is lovely as well. Need to work on psychology more. It's okay. Yeah, exactly. You did great. You did great. So don't forget that. Take it easy. And don't forget that you are doing great indeed. Let me see. Yes, this is also a very nice fake top. Which, let me actually look. What did we mention right here? Ah, yeah, we mentioned the daily fair value gap right there. This was at the top of my interest list, actually. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. At least right there. Then on the 4 hour, we just continued higher, respecting the daily value gap. That's beautiful. It's very nice price action right there. Which Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, we went over yesterday. And CHF, JPY potentially as well, but especially Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, they were pretty high probability. So if you caught anything of that, that is very nice. Those are high probability. The reason they are high probability is just because price action is in alignment, you could call it. For Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, we mentioned this sweep yesterday right there. Previous day low sweep to then continue higher. Could be very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Let me see. Let me see. I'm interested to know how your mentorship goes. How long and from what time to what time? How many days a week? For sure, Casey. Casey, what you can do is please send me an email at info@ario.io and I'll be able to go over it a little bit more easily. And I'll help you with that as well. So, yeah, for sure. For all the information right there. Goedemiddag, baas. Good afternoon, boss. Good afternoon. Love to see it. Mentorship is, yeah, Casey, send me an email and we'll go over it. What's up, Quentin? What is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? If I study your A to Z guide, can I become profitable without your paid mentorship? 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%, my friend. For sure. I got impulsive and lost 2R. No worries, no worries. And the thing I need you to understand is that, of course, I love that you put a sad emoji because I love that it makes you sad, as in, of course, you can be a little bit angry because that means that you expect better from yourself. So that is perfect. The only thing is right now that let's try to learn from it. So let's try to see, all right, what was the cycle that led us to being impulsive? What happened before that? Why was I impulsive? Let's learn from that. If you don't learn from it, of course, it's not, mistakes don't make you stupid. But if you don't learn from your mistakes, then yes, I would classify you as stupid. So that is very important. So can we learn from the mistakes? Perfect. You're just a normal human being. You're just learning. That's perfect. You need to experience that. No trades this week. Me too, me too. No trades this week. This week's dull. Yeah, especially, exactly, Hope. Exactly. Same for me. Same for me. Same exact thing for me. Ooh, I lost the chat real quick. All right, perfect. I'm back. King Hario. No. King Hario. No. I'm not a king, my friend. All right, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's go over it right here. So the thing I was looking at is higher prices off of this daily fair value gap. And we mentioned as well in the weekly forecast that Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, they're looking pretty nice. So if you want to trade anything, go for Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, where you might have already missed the move. So be aware of that as well. So we mentioned this daily fair value gap overlapping with the highs. We can continue higher off of that, which perfect delivery right now. Then in the meantime, we can look at a 4-hour fair value gap potentially, which we are not really having right there. This small one, it's not something I would like. Then in the meantime, you can wait for a new daily fair value gap or a 4-hour fair value gap to target this weekly fair value gap right there. That is very nice. Weekly fair value gap on the 4-hour, any 4-hour fair value gap potentially overlap with these highs. That is very nice. That is very nice. I like that a lot. And Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, where we had the same situation. These highs right there are quite nice still. 4-hour fair value gap potentially higher. In this case, I would actually prefer trading Australian dollar, Canadian dollar because it's expanding higher. It's expanding higher and more clearly as well. I've come to understand that following the fair value gaps is crucial for the analysis. 100% Ari. And yeah, in my opinion, it is, of course. In my opinion, it is. In my opinion, it definitely is very crucial because they tell you everything. They tell you if price is high probability, if low probability, tell you when to stay out, tell you when to trade, tell you where it's going. They tell you everything you need to know. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I really love the content. Try to watch at least one video from the channel every day. Love that. Absolutely love that. Take your time. Take your time. No worries. Let's go over New Zealand dollar CHF. Let's do it. Let's do it. New Zealand dollar CHF. I also had it on my list. Yes, so this is quite interesting, where currently I'm just not really interested anymore. And the reason for that is because if we were to continue lower, we already swapped this low right there. So if we were to continue lower, then that weekly fair value gap would be where I would want to see lower price off of. Which on a daily and the 4 hour, we can see we are just not getting. So in the meantime, I actually think, all right, we might be bullish, but we are not creating bullish fair value gaps. So what are we doing right here? I have no clue. So in that moment, I do think we might be reaching for that weekly fair value gap right there, which we can potentially look for trades into. But again, same premise that I do think there are higher probability pairs out there right there. So personally, do not want to trade this right here. Do not want to get involved. If anything, might want to look for longs into that weekly fair value gap sitting right there. But overall, we're still bearish. So again, that's a low probability and high probability factor that you need to take into account. Yeah, all right, thank you for all these knowledge and tips. Can you comment on the one setup for live ICT setup? Oof, I don't actually know that one, or I've heard about it, but I don't personally use it or incorporate it. Is it like or is it like a trading plan, or is it like a one trade setup for live, as in you to stick to one setup for live? Or is it like an actual trading plan? I'm not too certain actually. What are the best pairs to trade, sir? The ones that are the highest probability. Went through the A to Z 3 times now. Do you ever use these methods of looking for value gaps / liquidity for individual volatile stocks like Tesla? I have tried to use it on Tesla before. I looked at, let me check. You can use it, of course. You can use it on Tesla. And I've also, who was it? Someone reached out to me actually for trading stocks and investing in stocks as well. Not financial advice, but using these concepts. And yeah, that's going to work. Do you think the war will escalate more? Great stream, mate. Thank you, Hydra, everywhere. Thank you, Hydra, my guy. Hydra, absolutely love it. Such a lovely guy. Love it. Thank you, thank you. Do you think the war will escalate more? Well, knowing the world, it probably will, right? I'm not too certain. I hope not. I hope not. Yeah, love that. Love that. Thank you. All right, but yeah, Tesla right here. Yeah, we can use these concepts right here. We can see that on the monthly fair value gap right there, we are not expanding higher immediately. If we want to expand higher, we could do it right now, but doesn't seem like we want to. So we can potentially look for lower price on Tesla currently. So wait with your investments, not financial advice. Let me see. Yeah, Myron, if you study my A to Z guide, can I become profitable without your paid mentorship? 100%. 100%. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Yeah, Hydra, man. Hydra is... I love it. Hydra has been here for a pretty long time, actually. As in, he was here in one of the early streams as well. Love that. It's actually insane. I like that a lot. I like that. I like that. Love that. Did you take a trade on Australian dollar, Canadian dollar? No, I did not. I did not take a trade personally. How did it feel for you to become profitable after a long time of not seeing results? It's funny because profitability, and when you are about to become profitable, it doesn't suddenly just happen. As in, it's not that you become profitable and there's a button that's switched on, as in you're now profitable. No, it's a very slow grinding process, and it's almost like you don't even notice it. It's like it happens very gradually, and then slowly you start to make more profits, and then all of a sudden you look back on everything you've done the past few years and months, and you're like, whoa, all of a sudden I'm profitable. What happened in the meantime? And it's just because you applied the knowledge that you have throughout the concept, whoever your mentor is, etc., and then you fail, you learn, and you slowly make those mistakes, and you get better, and then all of a sudden you're profitable. But it doesn't just happen. As in, it's a grind. It's a grind. It happens very gradually. It happens unnoticeable almost. but it feels great. Like, of course, when you look back at it, it's like, but that's also humans. I mean, for me, it's like I always want more. And then sometimes I tend to forget that look how long and how far you've come. And that is also important to understand. So eventually, of course, when you look back at it, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, for sure, Luke. Love to see that. Love to see that. Is it possible to aim for 5% returns per month? Yeah, that's a very realistic goal. I like that. Very realistic. But don't limit yourself to that. As in, if you don't reach that one single month, perfectly fine. Then the next month we can try again, right? So don't force it. That is very important. I'm a beginner in Forex, so give me advice how to start from scratch. If you have zero knowledge, then I would advise a website. You don't need to learn the strategies from it, but just the basics. You can learn from babypips.com. And afterwards, you can use the A to Z guide, whatever you feel like, etc., to get into the more advanced things. Yeah, exactly, Locusin. Locus-zin. Yeah. True. Hira, just discovered your channel and I'm like, where have I been? Your explanations are so clear and precise, preparing to study your A to Z guide. Love that. I like that because I can sort of relate to that. You know, when you find someone on YouTube or anything and you're like, where has this been? I needed this, or it's so good. Like, yeah, I like that a lot. That means a lot to me. Thank you. And if you need anything or you need any of my help, Ty will, then please reach out to me as well, right? Please reach out to me. Best thing to do is reach out to me to my email, which is on wap.com. What are the most important aspects to consider when looking for a prop firm? I would go off of reputation, but someone in the Discord, in the Mentorship Discord, mentioned it perfectly as well, because a few months ago, or even a month ago, or whenever it happened, I would have also recommended to you my Forex funds. And I would have said, go with MFF because it's pretty reliable, it has a pretty good reputation. And all of a sudden, boom, that crazy stuff happened. So I would still say reputation. Of course, it's always a risk, but I would still say reputation, as in, are they reliable? Go onto their Discord. See in the Discord, that's what I like to do. Inside the Discord, just quickly type, all right, what are the spreads? What are the slippage? Do people have slippage problems? And then afterwards as well, of course, if they don't have a Discord, then maybe go into Twitter, etc. And then look at, do they have a time limit? I don't want a time limit. A time limit nowadays is like, why would you go with a prop firm with a time limit? Then my biggest advice would be go with something like Tradu or FTMO. FTMO is, of course, is the OG. As in, you can't really go wrong with FTMO. And if someone is bashing on FTMO, it's usually to promote their own thing. So that is very important as well. And FTMO also removed their time limit, which is also very nice. So then, yeah, it's like no consistency rules as well is very important. So where you're not stuck to, I need to use a 4 lot size or something like that. And no weird rules, just overall check the highest reputation. You can never really go wrong with that. That's very important. What are the rules to be high probability setup? Well, that's very in-depth actually. It's very in-depth. A high probability is when, of course, when we can define it, as in, I like to define it in a mentorship. High probability is just basically, very simply said, of course, Captain Obvious. It's just one thing is higher probability of happening over the other. How can you define that in trading? You stack up high probability arguments against the low probability conditions arguments. Meaning that here on Tesla, if we were to stack up the bullish arguments against the bearish arguments, the highest probability pair only has either arguments for the bullish side or the bearish side. You need to be 100% bullish or 100% bearish for it to be high probability. If you can find a reason that it might not be bullish or it might not be bearish, perfect. That is not high probability. Even if it's one reason, that is not high probability. You need to be 100% sure. Well, of course, you're not going to be sure, but you need to be probability-wise 100% that it's going up or down. Probability-wise. That is the main thing. From your experience, how are November and December as trading months? It depends, really. Really depends. November is quite alright. December, of course, during Christmas and stuff, New Year's, tends to be a little bit messy and usually seek and destroy. But really depends, because I've also seen some years where it's just normal and it just trades like whatever it wants to do. But sometimes it's very choppy. I believe last year was not that nice. I believe. I've got so much from you that I feel like it would be fair to ask, what can I do to show gratefulness? You are the best teacher out there. I love that. And the only way you can show me gratefulness is by applying the concepts and smashing it. Absolutely smashing it. Going for funded challenges and just smashing it out of park. Sending me your funded certificates, your payout certificates, etc. It's the only way you can reward or can show me your gratefulness. Really, it's the only way. Other than that, of course, I like the words, but that is the best way, I would say. Let me see. If there are same fair value gap, premium and discount in monthly time frame, which one first reach most likely? I'm not sure what you mean by that, my friend. What's up, DJ Khaled? What's up, Alok? Love to see it. Love to see it. Oh, like that. Do you only trade off of one a daily fair value gaps and higher for the main bias? What if you don't have a daily fair value gap, still want to catch some moves, like trading a 1 hour fair value gap on a 5-minute entry? Yeah, I use the 1 hour fair value gaps as well. I even go as low as the 1 minute time frame. It's just very important that a lot of people, usually why I touch on that mostly is because a lot of people tend to overlook what is happening on the higher time frame, where the lower time frame is really not that difficult to navigate if you know what's going on the higher time frame. So sometimes people jump into the 1 hour, etc., without first going over the monthly, for example. Sometimes people go into the 1 minute without even going over the monthly or the weekly. So that is very important. Love from Nepal. Love that. Love that. Love that, Asim. Thank you. Likewise. Likewise, my friend. May God bless you as well. Love that. Love that. What's your take on time aspect? Is the same for Forex and Indices? You focus on silver bullet entry only for Indices. Thanks. Best live streams ever. Love that. Love that. Thank you. And Forex and Indices, of course, they're different time aspect wise. It's very different. The thing is, though, that the thing is with silver bullet timings, very funny, because like 5 minutes before I started the live stream, I touched on this in the mentorship actually, and why we don't use it, etc., etc. Now, actually, one of the people actually mentioned that over a year, the silver bullet was not even profitable, which was very interesting to hear. Again, that is through his own data, so do with that what you want, because a lot of people tend to use times aspects, etc., and it's not even profitable, and they just pull a time aspect out of their ass. But yeah, that's my opinion. But to go over your question, sorry about the little rant, to go over your question, is that if you have time aspect in Forex, you can trade between 2 and 9 a.m. New York local time. That's the ideal time. Between 2 and 9, or between 2 and 10. 2 and 10 a.m. New York local time. Between that, you have 5 till 7 a.m. That is usually the break, the whatever it's called, your break where we are in between London and New York. That's still tradable if you use, of course, that news factor. Then as well, if you go over Forex, or sorry, Indices 9:30 until 4 a.m. New York local time is also perfectly fine to trade if you have the right context, etc. What is the best time frame for entry setups when you found a high probability setup in a higher time frame? Depends on which PD rate you are trading off of. Because if you're using a daily PD rate to trade off of, daily fair value gap, and you're using 1 minute entry time frame, then that's not going to cut it. That's not going to work. How many pairs do you trade? Really depends. If I'm flow trading plan, then it's usually the indices, as in YM, NASDAQ, or ES. Or when I'm trading my delirium trading plan, then I focus on everything, but I make an interest list. It's a very step-by-step guide that I go over in the mentorship on how I get to that process as well. And then it's analyzing on Sunday everything. Then I cut down a list. So it's a filtering process, it's called. After you have your interest list, and then your interest list, I only trade one. I only trade one pair for that day. How come you're the only teacher that made trading click for me? I watch countless of hours with other people. Love that. And I wonder why, to be honest. I would love to know actually why. What made it click? I like that. It's interesting. Time is just a window for volatility, which is what we need. Exactly, Art. Exactly. Love that. Because I found more success trading anytime within a session if the model presents itself. Me too, Lucasen. And that is what we touched on in Mentorship as well. Little Mentorship inside news. And that's why I mentioned news is more important than the time window itself. If the setup is there and your 11 a.m. window is not there, oh, I can't take the trade. And usually it's not even backed by data. That's why when I make fun of it, it's not because I'm making fun of people. It's usually because it's based on nothing. It's based on thin air. So it's like, what? So it's like, what are you doing? And yeah, that's why I like news over kill zones, etc. What is your favorite car? Oh, I'm glad you asked it. The Porsche 911 has to be the Turbo S. Oof. Oi, Turbo S. That's hopefully one day I'll have it. Turbo S. Yeah, kill zone is exactly time. Exactly, yeah. I do not use the 942 times. No. No. How to deal with daily opening gaps in my country's index? If it's nifty or anything, then what I would advise is you go into indicators and you type no gap candles and you just use fair value gaps instead. So that is what I would advise. Then you just count the fair value gaps, and you can also change the color of this indices where you change the colors to your normal chart colors. Do you have a Lamborghini? Just fun question. If I had, I would of course flex it, and I would sell my course, and I would flex everything. Of course. So I don't have it. No. I'm joking. No, I don't have a Lamborghini. I wouldn't want one, to be honest. Otherwise you'll Otherwise you'll see me on Instagram, would have 1 million followers, would flex everything. Get rich tomorrow, guys. Come on. What are you doing? I'm joking. Let me see. How much capital you currently trade at the moment, my brother? I can't disclose you the exact amount, but I'll tell you it's in the high 6 figures. It's almost 7 figures. But I'm not quite there yet. Let me see. I saw a question. I wanted to answer it. Let me see. I want to 5-minute time frame trade. What PD rate to use? Use or focus mainly on 4-hour PD rates and 1-hour PD rates. I think some people like to make it look more complicated than it is, just so that it looks smarter. Yeah, exactly. And it's like once, and it was very early in my social media history, as in it was, I don't know, January or something, where someone mentioned under my tweet, it's the way I explain things is very clear, and he mentioned that if you can't convince, then just confuse. So a lot of people just like to confuse people because they're just full of bullshit. So yeah. How long did it take you before becoming profitable? I actually was profitable with my first strategy that I ever used, but I fell into a shiny object syndrome cycle, which I touch on a lot nowadays. That's also why I touch on a lot on it, because everything that I teach is basically my own experiences as well. So I touch on it a lot, and I was fully profitable with actually making money wise, I would say, after, 3 years. Well, I was funded already with the first strategy that I used, which was the first month that I was trading. But I blew the account because I had no idea what I was doing. How long have you been a trader profitable? Could you compare time invested to learning versus profitable trading? That is a great question. Wow, that is such a good question, because that is so overlooked, where learning is usually what keeps people addicted. And what I mean by that is learning trading is so much more exciting than trading itself. And the reason for that is because when you learn something new, it's like, whoa, this is such a cool insight. And when you actually get to trading and you need to apply that concept and you see how boring trading actually is, you tend to go back. From my experience, I tend to go back to, all right, let me go back to that learning curve because that is way more exciting. So the trading itself is very boring, and I don't put a lot of time in it. As in, you trade, you fail, you learn, you do it again, you fail, you lose money, you blow an account, perfect. And you do that until you make money. And the learning cycle can be done very quickly. As in, and that's what I preach, really, if you follow along with my insights and my insights only, and the reason I say that, and the reason I state that every time, is because if I give you insights and someone else, a mentor, gives you a different insight, and we have clashing insights, so I tell you the opposite thing, then that's not going to work. That is very dangerous. So it's going to take way longer for you to actually learn how to trade in the first place. And again, it's not that one opinion is wrong or the other is wrong. No, that's not it. But stick to one mentor. If you stick to one mentor, the learning cycle of trading technicals can take you 3 months, 6 months. Of course, with time, you also get better. If you are truly advanced in your technicals, I would say around a year for you fully to understand my concepts on how I view high probability and low probability conditions. And then afterwards, it probably takes you as well the psychology, but that is in between, which you've already also worked on. So then the learning stage is maybe a year. Then you need to get to actual trading to be profitable, which then also sort of comes on its own. If that makes sense. Yeah, trading is super slow. Trading is so boring. It's super boring, to be honest. If you have your strategy, etc., then it becomes very boring. And yeah, that is very important. And usually what I do want to say is usually when people come into the mentorship and they're in the masterclass or in the essential and they're in the money making team, after about 6 months, they come back to me with on average 6 months. Can of course take longer, can take a little bit shorter, because I've also seen people where it's after the first month they pass a challenge account. On average, around 6 months is when people come back to me. Hey, I passed this fund challenge. Hey, I had this payout. Hey, I had this, which is around 6 months. What's the benefit of the mentorship over your A to Z guide and live forecast? That is very interesting. And it's funny because I got a text message today with someone that joined the masterclass, and he sent me a message with people that mentioned that they truly will be so surprised when they come into the masterclass or into the essential, into the mentorship in general, with how much more the mentorship has to offer compared to the A to Z guide, which is truly amazing. And the thing I'll touch on right here, but you can send me again an email at info@ario.io before I rant too much and etc. You know me. But you can send me an email. I'll give you the full details. To touch on it a little bit here as well is the structure is truly something else. As in, it's not something you see on YouTube. The concept is as well not the same as you see on YouTube. Yes, once you are in the mentorship, you will see how the YouTube is in perfect alignment with the mentorship. But without the mentorship insights, etc., there's truly a whole new world that opens up to you inside the mentorship as well. And that is purely because some concepts I do not go fully in depth on in YouTube. For example, order flow, market structure, not even, top-down analysis, etc. And the structure inside the mentorship, every video you watch, you get closer to your own unique trading plan. It's a very, very unique design. So yeah, that's, but again, reach out to my email. Feel free to reach out to my email and I will fully go over it. Aside the technicals, this is an interesting question as well. Aside the technicals, how do you analyze and include fundamentals into your style of trading? I personally do not use fundamentals. And the reason for that is because fundamentals usually are already calculated into the market, or the technicals are already showing what the fundamentals will do in advance, meaning that they are already calculated into price action. So for example, we have an exercise inside the mentorship where we go over, if there's FOMC or NFP, I would like for you, if you're still in that beginning phase, I would like for you to mark up your higher time frame chart, and you will see a lot of the times FOMC, NFP, they just follow along with whatever the higher time frame is doing because it's already calculated into price. It's just waiting for the volatility to come into the market. So in that sense, I personally, to answer your question, I don't use fundamentals. I only focus on technicals. Hope is an essential member, actually. Before joining Mentorship, I always thought what it would be there. What it would be there in already talked about everything. And he already talked. Yeah, exactly. But there is a whole new world out there that goes deep as fuck. Yeah, and that is very true. That is very true. Perfectly summed up. Exactly. Love that, Hope. Love that. I want to prove everybody that you can make money with trading. My family didn't support me when I started trading, and now I want to show them. Did your parents approve with your trading? No. And well, my parents are. I'm very grateful for my parents because they always support me in whatever I do, and they somehow trusted me in order for me to go ahead and try it with, of course, a backup plan that if it doesn't work out, you go to that, you do this, but they did allow me to try. And that is what I'm very grateful for. But overall, I don't like to tell people, or I used to also not like to tell people or tell my parents about trading because they just won't understand. As in, you can try to tell them, and of course they might understand it a little bit, and they'll still trust you, etc. But overall, they will just not understand, and they will ask you questions. This is a question I get a lot of times. It's like, but what if can you lose that money all at once? And of course, then you need to go into the details. Well, you have risk management. You use usually 1% a trade, etc. So it's like, yeah, they just won't understand. Let me see. I emailed, just wanted to know about the mentorship. Love it. I will go over the emails later today, so I will go over it. No worries, no worries. How old are you, brother? I am 22 years old. 22 years old. Sometimes it feels like I've lived 3 lives already. Let me see. Did you have a mentor besides ICT? MentFX was a little bit of my mentor. I've been in Phantom for a very short while. But MentFX was, well, my mentor, but it was mainly ICT. As in, what was taught in MentFX, or when I was in MentFX, I already, the first week or something, got exposed to ICT, and then I just started watching ICT. So it was mainly only ICT, actually. What playlists have you seen from ICT? I have seen the Market Maker Primer. That was the first series I've watched for ICT. Then I've also seen core content and the full core content, so I haven't missed a video. Take a note on it, etc. Then the 2022 mentorship as well, and that's about it. And the rest of it is just, and that's always what I try to emphasize on it as well. It's not that ICT is a great teacher, and that's also very important to understand, that I don't discredit him at all, but I credit myself a lot, because that's what you should do as well, I believe, is you should credit yourself a lot, because when you're profitable, it's likely because it's not someone told you a secret or something. It's because you went into the market and you studied your ass off and you failed and you took punches, etc. And then you learned. So when you become profitable, and this is also what I tell people in the mentorship, when they show me your funded certificate, no, don't credit me, credit yourself. It's you that did it, not me. I didn't take those losses you took. I didn't take those wins you took. So it's you. It's all you. What do you think about the seasonal tendencies on November for Euro US dollar? I personally don't really look at seasonal tendencies. And the reason for that is because whatever price is already doing, we can already see the seasonal tendency developing, as in we can already see it happening. So I have used it in the past. I stepped away from it because it was more so confusing, where I used COD data. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Open interest, seasonal tendencies. Then I went into the chart and the technicals. I had one view on the technicals and the fundamentals, open interest, seasonal tendencies, etc. They told me something else. They told me the opposite. So then I listened to the fundamentals, and usually the technicals were also always right. Were always correct. So yeah, that's why I personally don't really use it. Then if the seasonal tendencies play out, then it's like you will also already see it in the chart. Phantom uses structure, supply and demand. Yes, exactly. Only right. Yeah, but Phantom also uses concepts like fair value gaps. They just call it imbalance, for example. It's all comes down to a lot of the same stuff. For example, the kill zones are not kill zones, they're just sessions, which is basically the same thing, right? Just all the same things, just a little bit different. How many participants do you have in a mentorship? That is what is it currently. Not too certain what it is currently. In the Discord, I can tell you the Discord without the essential. That is Discord. There are currently around 100 members. How long have you actually been trading? 3, almost 4 years. Almost 4 years. Let me check. Actually, almost 4 years. Yeah, approaching 4 years. Love that, Ryanson. Love that. Good night and sweet dreams. I'm off to bed now. Sleep well, my friend. Sleep well. Good night. See you at the next one. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Do you still trade your own money after being funded? Not really. I don't trade my own money. Not really. If sometimes on Bitcoin or something, if it's crypto, then I tend to sometimes throw in some of my own money. But overall, I like to minimize that as much as possible. One of Ario's success factors is in teaching is that he presents bite-sized pieces enough you can understand and build on. Love that, Paul. And that is, never thought of it like that, but that is very true, I believe. And yeah, that's also what I try to do, because one of the videos or watching one of my videos might help you. But if you've been following since the A to Z guide and now the most recent videos, then you will have so much knowledge, because it's the recent videos, they are not in a series, but it is actually a series, as in I go over step-by-step things that you need to know to understand certain things. So yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you. I spent 4 months watching and taking notes from core content and 2022 mentorship, but the overwhelming feeling of concepts took me back to where I started. Then I found Ario and everything seemed to click. Love that. And that is what I pride myself in. And don't want to sound egoistic or anything. I like to think I'm not egoistic, but or how do you call it? Arrogant, you could call it. I like to think I'm not, but I do like to think that I'm pretty good at combining all the concepts into one thing that is actually actionable, as in you can actually use it. Because I think we've all been in your situation, Ari, where we have watched a lot of content, we have all the knowledge you need. And I tell people quite a lot of times where I tell them, you already have all the knowledge you need. You just need to know how to apply it. That's it. And that's usually where I come in as well. Do you trade futures? I do not, but I do want to. Do you trade Wyckoff stuff? Or is it the same with ICT? It is quite similar to ICT, but it's also a little bit different. Wyckoff is extremely difficult to understand, and it's very subjective. So if there's anything that you would like to trade, then the last thing I would recommend you to trade, I would recommend you support and resistance before I would recommend Wyckoff. What is your goal which you would like to reach in trading or with the mentorship? Oh, that's a great question, Andrea. And the thing I would like to reach with the mentorship is like, I would like to have just one. Well, first off, the mentorship and with YouTube, etc., what I like to reach is just to be a reliable source in trading. I don't want to be anyone's or everyone's source. That's not really my goal. I just want to be a reliable source, as in I want to help people get on the right path, because I've also been there and I've also been in a shitty situation. So I just want to be a reliable source in trading. Then the next thing is, if someone wants to join the mentorship, I would love for them to eventually also to provide them with capital. So an all-in-one package. That's what I would like eventually. Then eventually maybe a trading floor, etc. But that is all things that is pretty far away right now. But currently, I just want to keep on building on what I currently have and be a very reliable source in the trading industry. That is very important. I see haters that say that market maker model is just Wyckoff rebranded. Yeah. Or market maker model is Wyckoff, or Wyckoff is market maker model rebranded. I'm not sure. You know, that's true. It's true. People will always have something to say. Can you further explain what market maker or market maker MMXM means? It's a very I've made a guide on it. It's a 57-minute video if you want to watch it. But the basic thing is that it's a movement from premium to discount or from discount to premium a lot of times. And it's really not that difficult. And it's very overcomplicated. But for example, when we move from this discount array, which is a fair value gap, to now those swing highs in between this price action. So this candle, that candle, that candle, that candle, that candle, that candle. That is where, if you combine the time frames correctly, for example, the 1 hour, this is where you'll see your market maker model. And your market maker model is just your ST, which you have right there. Then you have a couple of Res, which I call them. And then we just continue to respect discount arrays. And that is your market maker model. What I need you to understand is where your discount arrays get respected. So when you want to enter, you can see fair value gap respected. Fair value gap respected because it continues higher. Fair value gap respected, continues higher. Fair value gap respected. Fair value gap respected, continues higher. Gap respected until we deliver towards the target. And afterwards, once we are not in a market maker model, then you'll see price action like this. And when we are not in a market maker model, what are we doing? We are creating a new market maker model. So that's where you have to be patient and you wait for those new market maker model because that is your high probability conditions. If that makes sense. Good night, Ari. Thank you always for guiding us in our training journey. God bless. Thank you. Likewise, my friend. Likewise. Good night. Thank you for being here. Thank you. All right, last one. I'll go over this last one and then I'm going to end it right here. Let's see. I have 2 years and 6 months and still not profitable. I challenge myself to pause or fund it by the end of 2023. All right. There's no worries, by the way. That's not a shame. As in, if you take longer to be profitable or anything, it's nothing to be worried about. It's just your own journey. Everyone has a particular journey and yours just takes a little bit longer. And compared to someone else, your journey might be very short. So also keep that in mind. And what I would say about challenge yourself to pass a funded account by the end of 2023, that's great. And I love that you challenge yourself. From my own experience is that from my own experience, when I set goals like that are very time related, as in I need to pass this before that time, usually it doesn't work out. But again, that's from my own experience. That's personal preference from my side, where I like to have in mind, all right, I want to pass a funded challenge. For me, it doesn't really matter how long it will take. If it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, I don't mind. As long as I pass it, perfectly fine. And of course, I will still try to as fast as possible, but or within the guidelines still. But having a set goal with a time limit, that is, for me, something dangerous, in my opinion. Last one, all right. You don't want to open your own live account / funds just in case something happens with prop firms. Yeah, that's a great option as well. And I do of course keep something on the side for if that happens. But I also have investors, so in that sense, I'm a pretty nice spot. I'm in a pretty nice spot as well. So nothing really to work about. But that is something for sure that if you were to only trade funded, that is something you need to take into account. Because if prop firms are gone, which you are reliable on, then yeah, basically your income is gone, which is very, very detrimental, of course. Something you want to take into account. Are your book recommendations? Reality trend surfing. If you want to change your life, then reality trend surfing. And every book by the man himself, which is called, let me see, Vadim Zeeland. This is the author. Any book by him is great. I think Tifti the Priestess is the one I read most recently. It's absolutely a fantastic book. If you've also read Reality Trend Surfing, Reality Trend Surfing itself might be a little bit vague, as in it might be a little bit like, what do? I don't really understand it. Then once you go to Tifti the Priestess, wow, absolutely amazing. Completely changed my life personally. Market maker model is RIMC. Never heard about that. in S&D trading. It's all the same thing. Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to the same thing. And then we can all argue about who is the creator and who did this, but we trade. We make money. That's the most important part, right? Do you think what you do outside the charts, like certain habits, helps you be a better trader? Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's what they say, right? A healthy body is a healthy mind, and a strong body is a strong mind. That is also very important. So if you're only eating shitty food, for example, then how can you expect yourself to do something like trading? Because the trading is probably one of the most difficult things there is in the world to do. It goes against all human nature. It's very difficult. So psychology-wise, mental-wise. So if you're eating shitty, you're sleeping shitty, then how can you expect to perform at a top level? You need to be a top athlete to actually train or to trade, of course. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you need to be at a very good mental state in order for you to trade. So that is very important as well. And the thing is, certain habits where, yes, certain habits do help, where, for example, I'm not sure, getting impulsive with things or patience is what I had a lot of problem with as well, where I was just very impatient. So I tried to test my patience in everything in life, and that helped, quite helped, yeah. Yeah, for sure, Glenn. CFDs are perfectly fine. I also use CFDs myself. So yes, for sure. What time frame should we use? I'm currently using one daily and 1 hour and 5 minutes. That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine to use. And if you want, you can use it. Look at my time frames. But the time frames, as long as you're aware of what the timers are doing, then the timers are just a toolbox to guide you to an entry. But the ones you have are very nice. They're very nice. You need, as long as you understand that from the daily to the 1 hour, that's a pretty big drop. From the 1 hour to the 5 minute is a very small drop. So from the daily to the 1 hour, if you have a daily PD rate, 1 hour time frame, you would need more confirmation. 1 hour time frame to 5 minutes, you would need less confirmation. If that makes sense. I just started reading Reality Transurfing. I love that. Yeah, it's a great book. You're going to enjoy it, I think. I hope. It's an absolutely awesome book. I would love to read it again. I was planning like today or yesterday. It's funny that you asked that, Hope, because I was planning yesterday or yesterday or today to read that book again, because when I read that book, I perform at my best without reading any other book. It's very funny because that book I can read like so easily. It's insane. Range, initiation, mitigation, continuation. Ah, yeah, I have heard about that. It's very interesting, Alex. I like that. All right. No worries, Andrea. No worries. All right. What's your thoughts on Paladin? Do you think he's legit? I do think Paladin is legit. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Although sometimes I do think, no, not really. Not really with Paladin. I don't have with Paladin. But sometimes I do tend to think that the YouTubers, but not necessarily Paladin, so it's nothing against Paladin or anything, but sometimes YouTubers have too much edits, is what I feel like. And there's nothing wrong with it, but is it then about the edits or is it about the content? Like if I want you to succeed, it's not necessarily about the edits that I use in my videos. It's more so about the content and the message that I send to you. That is the most important part. So it's like, it doesn't really make sense. And it becomes more of an entertainment. Well, this is entertainment, yes, if you're not willing to use the concepts, etc., or the things that I'm trying to teach you here. But other than that, this is just serious shit. This is just serious business. It's not something to entertain you or anything. So this is very important. But again, it's nothing against Paladin. I do think Paladin is legit for sure. Great trader from what I know, at least. I do not watch ICT anymore. This is a long time ago since I've last watched an ICT video. Are time frames like 3 hour, 2 hour, 45 minute reliable? I would not use them, and there's not really a reason to use them as well. So they could be, but usually price tends to go to the time frames that I've set out already right there. Is there some seats in the masterclass for free? If you have a very good offer for me, my friend, then there might be a seat for free. But that of course comes at something at a cost. They don't come for absolutely free. Thank you, R. Had a great time. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that, Hope. Thank you for joining again. Love to hear it. Checking emails. Yes, I will check emails. I will check emails. I will check emails after this. All right, then I'm currently going to end it. Thank you, Myron. Thank you for being here as well. And I'll see everyone at the next one. Take care this week. Be careful with FOMC. There's no reason to get involved right now. Be careful. And I'll see everyone at the next one. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.